Sage the Spice Detective. Conference of Flavors Case. Chapter 1, A Seasoning Sense. It was a busy day at the Conference of Flavors as spices from around the world mingled in the bustling pantry. Sage surveyed the scene, ever vigilant for any signs of something amiss. As head detective of the Flavor Patrol, it was her job to ensure everything ran smoothly. A commotion drew her gaze to where a group had clustered. "What seems to be the trouble here?" she asked, easing through the crowd. Her fellow spice, Thyme, turned in alarm. "It's Cumin. She's gone missing." Sage's brow furrowed as she took in the space where Cumin had displayed her wares. "When was she last seen?" A pepper shifted nervously. "Only an hour ago, but then she just vanished without a trace." Examining the area provided no clues. Cumin had disappeared into thin air. But Sage knew from experience that there was no such thing as a mystery without some solution. She caught the eye of another old acquaintance across the way. "Paprika, come take a look at this." As head of the Flavor Enforcement Division, Paprika joined Sage in inspecting the scene. No sign of a struggle, she mused. Just then, a commotion arose from the entrance as newcomers arrived. "Make way for gochujang," the Saffron Guard announced. The vibrant red spice surveyed the assembly with an unreadable expression. Rumors abounded of gochujang's elusive origins and mysterious masala magic. Sage watched them curiously, wondering what business had brought such an influential newcomer to the conference. She received her answer soon enough as gochujang made a beeline straight for her and Paprika. "I overheard something troubling during my journey here," they said without preamble. "There have been other disappearances, haven't there?" "This is not the first spice to go missing recently." Sage exchanged a glance with Paprika, surprised by gochujang's perception. It was true that Cumin was not the only incident, though the Flavor Patrol had hoped to keep further mysterious vanishings quiet. "You seem very well informed," Paprika replied guardedly. Unfazed, gochujang continued. "I believe these are no random acts, but part of a far larger scheme. One aimed at disrupting the balance of flavors far and wide." They leaned in, their voices dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I have reason to believe supernatural forces may be at work. Ghosts that feed on the essence of taste itself." Sage raced at the implications. If what gochujang said held truth, they were facing a far more dire threat than any past mystery, one that endangered the very lifeblood of the pantry's bountiful flavors. But first things first, they needed solid proof before crying specters to the masses. "For now, let's keep this between us. I'll look into your claims quietly." She returned to inspecting the scene again, this time with new eyes. Perhaps there were clues here she had missed on the first examination. A glint of metal under the merchant's table caught her attention. Sage gently removed a stray nail and observed a minute powder residue on the point. She brought it to her nose, inhaling subtly. The unmistakable aroma of cumin filled her sinuses. But how did its essence end up here if Cumin herself had vanished? Unless... A light breeze interrupted Sage's thoughts as the curtains billowed, bringing a new scent. One unfamiliar yet hauntingly vivid. Her head swam as aromatic compounds engaged her senses, both spice and soul. At that moment, an unseen presence seemed to whisper, "The chase is on, detectives. Let the games begin." With a shudder, the presence disappeared as quickly as it came, leaving Sage more puzzled than ever. Something strange was afoot, and she intended to get to the root of it, even if it meant delving into realms as uncharted as Gochujang's murky past. Chapter 2: A Spicy Suspect. Sage pondered the mystery long into the night, organizing clues in her head, like a jigsaw puzzle, missing several key pieces. One thing was clear: this was no ordinary case. Whoever was behind the disappearances was operating on a level beyond any foe she had faced. There was no time to waste if they hoped to get to the bottom of it. First light found her rousing Gochujang, who had taken up lodgings nearby. They must strike while the proverbial iron was hot. She said our next move should be questioning Salt and Pepper without a preamble. Those two have had their fingers in too many pies over the years, not knowing anything about this. Gochujang nodded sagely. Given their position of influence, it was a wise place to start. Lead on, detective. I'm happy to assist however I can. Together, they made their way through the winding corridors to the grand hall reserved for High Council deliberations. As expected, Salt and Pepper held sway at the head of the ornate oak table, deep in some serene debate. Their aides scrambled to and fro, bearing messages and missives. Sage cleared her throat pointedly. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen, but might I borrow you both for a few moments? We have some pressing questions regarding recent events. Salt leveled an imperious frown, but Pepper, ever pragmatic, shooed his adviser away with an airy gesture. But of course, how can we be of help? I'm sure you're doing everything you can to get to the bottom of this unpleasant business. Please have a seat and ask away. Taking the proffered chairs, Sage got straight to the point. We're looking for information on cults, covens, or unsavory characters who may wish harm to flavors. Have either of you heard whispers or rumors that could aid our investigation? His nonchalance seemed almost practiced. I'm afraid I do not know wild speculation, Pepper replied smoothly. These are troubling times, but I believe in your talents, Sage. Gochujang shot Sage a meaningful look, conveying doubts about Pepper's claims. She pressed on. And how about you, Salt? Has your expansive network of contacts shed any light? The stony Spice glowered, voice grating like crystal on stone. I do not dignify rumor-mongering with responses. There are proper channels for such inquiries, not baseless accusations. Now, if you excuse us, we've work to do. Dismissed so abruptly, Sage had no choice but to retreat, her mind whirling with more questions than answers. She turned to Gochujang as they strode away. That was less than helpful. I'd wager our new friend heard a great deal more than they let on. But we still lack proof. Perhaps someone else knows of shady dealings they prefer keeping quiet about. You don't suppose? Gochujang halted, realization dawning. Of course! The black market has fingers everywhere. If anyone can point us towards unsavory activities under their very noses, it would be them. Lead on. I'm willing to deal with a few devils if it gets us answers. Navigating the twists and turns of dark alleys, they eventually found an unmarked door flanked by burly clove sentries. Password? One grunted. Your goods, not your glory. Sage replied smoothly. The door creaked open to reveal a bustling bazaar overflowing with legal and less so wares. Shrewd eyes sized them up from every corner as they wove between stalls. At last, one crone beckoned them over, bony fingers bedecked with ornate rings. And what brings Flavor's finest to my humble shop? Information is my trade, but nothing comes free. You know the rules here. Gochujang slid a cloth satchel across the table, its spicy scent wafting enticingly. This should cover the usual fare. Now talk. We're looking for any whisper of clandestine activity that doesn't sit right. The crone cackled, weighing the gold dust with an expert eye before stowing it away. Aye, word has it some new cults have been cropping up, performing all manner of dark rituals in secluded still rooms under cover of night. Whispers of sacrifices and curses. Flavors manipulated in unholy experiments. The fools risk angering forces beyond mortal ken. I'd steer clear if I were you, lest the same ill fate should befall. And with that ominous note, she melted back into the crowd, leaving the pair more unsettled than before. So our first solid lead confirms cult activity, Gochujang mused as they exited. But where to start searching hidden chambers and fanatics bent on twisting nature's intentions? A little supernatural aid may not go amiss. I know someone well versed in mystic matters who may offer helpful insight if they feel cooperative. Lead on. I'm willing to try any avenue at this point. With a nod, Gochujang set off at a brisker pace, leaving Sage to wonder what or who they had in mind. One thing was sure, this case was delving deeper into murky waters. Chapter 3: A Herbal Hunch. Gochujang guided them sure-footed through winding alleyways until they reached a nondescript apothecary tucked between two bustling markets. Golden chimes tinkled as the door creaked open to reveal shelf upon shelf crowded with glass jars, dried bundles, and curiosities beyond name. An elderly voice called from the back room. "I'll be with you directly. Do browse if anything catches your fancy." The unlikely pair surveyed the eclectic wares, Sage spotting familiar herbs alongside those scarcely heard of. At length their host emerged, stooped yet spry. "Ah, Gochujang is always a pleasure. And you've brought a friend, I see." "I'm Time, the keeper of this shop, and I counsel all in need. How may I assist you both on this fine day?" Without further ado, Gochujang launched into an account of recent events. Time listened raptly gnarled fingers, tapping a contemplative rhythm against well-worn wood. "Cult activity, you say? Most troubling indeed. I don't put much stock in phantom tales, but toying with the essential nature of flavors skirts a dangerous line. There may be darker forces at work here beyond mortal comprehension." Her gaze grew flinty as it descended on Sage. "You have a knack for puzzling such matters, though this will test your notable skills. Still, one should never face obstacles alone when companions stand at the ready. If it pleases you both, I know of an order that may offer invaluable aid in these dire straits. The Savor Society is a secretive brotherhood sworn to defend the diversity of taste against those who would see it stamped out. Their members blend into society as ordinary folk, but possess an array of talents, both subtle and profound. With their assistance, I foresee a way to unravel this tangled knot finally. But contacting them requires the utmost discretion. Wait here while I send word through esoteric channels. Secrecy is their shield, yet circumstance demands that they answer the call at this time. Time hurried off, leaving the pair to weigh options in hushed tones. The society could prove key if they accept involvement. But will they regard outsiders as allies or obstacles to be circumvented? Gochujang's faith seemed unshaken. This time appears to be a friend. We place our trust where it's offered for now. The wait felt interminable, yet time returned, bearing welcome tidings. They've agreed to a meeting at dawn at the Standing Stones on the edge of town. Follow me there before the sun breaks, and keep your wits about you. Shadowed paths suit such clandestine parleys. Under the cover of dimming twilight, they journeyed to the wind-swept field where ancient markers jutted skyward. Before the first rays crested, stark silhouettes emerged like wisps from the mist. Hooded figures ringed the gathering, posture guarded, yet bearing no overt malice. Step into the circle, guests, a resonant baritone intoned. Here words carry weight, so choose them well. You claim a threat against flavor, yet bear no bona fide. Why should the society heed calls from strangers with tales, but no proof? Sage steeled herself. This was a test of no small import. Good folk, I come not to demand aid, but humbly beseech it. For seasons untold, I've served flavor as a detective, unraveling mysteries that imperiled our way of life. What's described threatens cataclysm should the culprit schemes bear dark fruition. I ask not for myself, but for all who savor the bounty our world provides. If lending support endangers none and turns the tide, how could I, in good conscience, refrain? Silence followed her impassioned plea as unseen eyes bored into her very soul. Then a whisper, "You've convinced me, detective. Tell your tale, and we shall hear if the society stands with you." Relief coursed through Sage as she recounted all that occurred since Cumin's disappearance, omitting no salient detail. Murmurs arose from the cloaked brethren at specific points, yet none interrupted her account. When all was said, the baritone spoke once more. Grave tidings. Evidence points to malevolent purpose rather than hapless mishap. The society exists to thwart such villainy wherever it rears its ugly form. We will aid your search and jointly devise a plan to root out these cultists before further harm. You have our word. Flavor will not fall while we yet stand. A mighty cheer arose at this proclamation. Justice would be served, come what may. Chapter 4, A Piquant Plan. With the society's support secured, Sage felt renewed vigor for the task ahead. Now was no time for hesitation. They must strike while resolve ran hot. Can you gather your members at the apothecary at noon? There, we'll convene to lay the groundwork. Gochujang affirmed before leading Sage off into the dawn mists. By midday, Time's shop buzzed with hushed discussion as cloaked figures filed in. All took seats around a scarred trunk serving as a makeshift table. Last, but not least, their leader emerged, a figure swathed head to toe in rich saffron robes. Greetings, fellow protectors. I am Paprika, the voice of this order. Pray, introduce yourselves and your roles to our new allies. Each member rose, doffing hoods to reveal faces as diverse as their championed flavors. Sage recognized a few prominent spices from festivals past, now revealed as society members. Their varied areas of expertise, from poisons to prophecy, stealth to subterfuge, gave her hope this alliance could turn the tide. Lastly, Gochujang stood calmly. You all know my name and skills. I aim to see Flavor's beautiful tapestry preserved for generations to come. Paprika nodded solemnly. Noble sentiments. Now let us unite that vision through action. Detective, will you recount clues gathered so far one final time? Sage obliged, laying out each painstaking discovery and dead end face to date. When all was rehashed, Paprika tapped fingers pensively. Cultists wielding forces beyond ken present, a grave threat indeed. Deception is their weapon of choice. We must beat them at their own game through daring and deception. I propose we stage our ritual deep in woods known as cult haunts. We lure them into the open with theatrics and trickery, then spring our trap. But we'll need volunteers to play the part of cultists while the rest lie in wait. Who among you is brave and gifted in masquerade? Without hesitation, Clove and Saffron stepped forward. Leave costumes and charades to us, just see to the ambush. Their eagerness drew chuckles. The stage is set, and the plants are now waiting. On the morrow, we put our plan to the test. Dismissed. That evening, Sage met with Gochujang beneath a waning moon. I can't help but feel this web entangles us deeper. Are you confident continuing down this path remains wise? Gochujang regarded her solemnly. There is wisdom in caution, friend, yet pausing now could condemn Flavor to ruin. We've come too far to abandon the quest at its climax. Have faith, our allies only mean bringing perpetrators to light, not hatching further schemes. For now, all we can do is trust each plays their role when the final curtain falls. I believe in Paprika's vision. The dawn will decide our fate. Dawn light found the woods alive with ominous drummings and chants carrying on the breeze. Hidden amongst brambles, Sage and allies waited as Clove and Saffron conducted their obscene parody of ritual beneath a crude altar. Soon dark figures emerged to bear witness, lurking at the fringes like crows scenting blood. Now! Hissed Paprika, and society members burst from cover in a whirlwind of sandalwood and spices. The element of surprise won the initial advantage, yet cultists fought with a viciousness belying human strength. Saffron grappled with a hulking goon while Clove danced between two assailants, daggers flashing. Sage waded into the melee, throwing her weight behind well-placed jabs and kicks. Slowly but surely, the tide turned as allies coordinated in dazzling synchronicity. With their leader incapacitated, the last stragglers chose flight over defeat. Bind the prisoners, Paprika ordered tersely. Later this evening, they'll divulge all or face Flavor's wrath. For now, back to town, we've earned respite, and the coming interrogation demands focus. As Sage trailed allies toward home, one thought echoed. Their first true lead was captured, yet bigger mysteries remained wrapped in a riddle. Chapter 5 Mystic Masala Magic. While cultists languished in a cell, the society gathered again to shore up strengths for the night's ominous work. Paprika addressed the group solemnly. The interrogation will test even hardened metal. I'll take some time to fortify spirit as best each sees fit. we reconvene at dusk's first glimmer. Dismissed. Sage sought out gochujang, sensing they kept counsel closest. Might I observe? Your preparation. Gain techniques to bolster my resolve. Gochujang eyed her appraisingly, but nodded. Come then. Witness masala magic few outside the subcontinent have seen. They wended through the scrub until they reached a wind-swept meadow. Gochujang began gathering strange plants into a woven mat, grinding them rhythmically with a mortar and pestle until a vivid paste resulted. Now the focus starts. Kneel and close your eyes. Breathe deep, the aromas wafting on the breeze. Let them carry your thoughts to a tranquil place of inner strength. Sage complied, muscles unwinding as wood smoke, and clove sang through her being. An oasis shimmered in her mind's eye, spices dancing upon rippling waters beneath a canvas of stars. Here serenity and resolve reinforce one another in perfect balance. When at last she opened her eyes, the glade remained, yet a subtle luminance now shone from within. Thank you. I see why such techniques fortify your people. Others could benefit as well. As dusk fell, they rejoined Paprika and allies, noticing a new tranquility amongst faces long grim. Our spirit armor is forged. Now let interrogation commence. Cultists snarled and thrashed down in the holding cells at the sight of visitors, yet Sage observed fear beneath the bravado. Paprika addressed their leader coldly. Name and purpose, worm. Then you'll find cell or pyre, which are far less daunting options. A sneer twisted cracked lips. I'll tell you no, heathen. Our Lord will see flavor cleansed by purging taint like yours from this world. A new age dawns, where only the worthy may savor life's gifts. None shall stand in our glorious. A meaty thwack cut off further ranting as Clove slammed a fist into flesh. Enough prattle and snake. I've little patience for zealot raving. You'll open that hole, or I'll pry it wide myself. Sage laid a restraining hand upon Clove's taut arm. Violence breeds only violence, friend. Let me try persuasion of a different kind. She knelt before cell bars, gazing into its occupant's eyes with a compassion that disarmed where ire could not. I understand the thirst to reform an unjust world, but your paths lead only to suffering for many. There is another way, one of inclusion, where all flavors may find community through understanding each other. Why not consider spreading that message instead? Silence reigned for a small eternity. Something shifted within that fervent glare. Your words give me pause, heathen. But I've seen too much darkness to walk your road just yet. My brethren, though, their fate should not be tied to mine alone. Release them unharmed, and you have my cooperation, if not my conversion. Paprika nodded curtly. It was a reasonable accord. You there, fetch keys and free the lesser worms. Their master remains our guest for a while longer.